This is episode 137 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today we're going to help you find time. Yay! Find time for you, for self-care, for self-improvement, for transformation. We're going to solve the finding time for self-care problem. You want this? Stay tuned. My name is Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist. I reversed my diagnosis of anxiety, depression, adrenal fatigue, and obesity by going beyond the food. I can tell you one thing, that willpower, discipline, and deprivation aren't the permanent solution to transforming your relationship to food. So how do you leave overeating, emotional eating, food craving, and binging behind you so you have the food freedom to achieve all of your goal and be happy now? As a top 25 alternative health podcast in the world, this is the Beyond the Food Show. Hello, ladies. It's me, Stephanie Dodier, and today we're going to talk about time. And there's two big reasons why I want to talk about time with you. Because number one, I want to avoid you pain that could be caused by you having not enough time for you. Pain that I've experienced myself. I don't want to avoid that for you. And then two, because it's the most frequent objection that I read from women who want to work with me to register for my program, but they just don't have the time. So I want to knock off those two reasons so we can remove the block for you. So block number one, why do I want to do this for you? I want to remove pain because for me, finding time for me and for my body, for taking care of myself was one of the biggest lessons of my life. And trust me on this, one of the hardest one to learn and one that I still have to consciously be working on. My default state is to work now on my business, back then work in my job, is to actually produce and create and work instead of taking care of me. So I didn't even understand the concept up to about 8 years ago. And the only reason why this concept of taking care of me and taking time for me finally got through me is when I was laying on a hospital bed. Did it have to get that far? No. Did I knew I needed to take time for me? Yes, but I was back taught. It wasn't something that was reinforced by my environment. So I wasn't in an environment in which taking care of yourself was valued, was promoted, was talked about. Therefore, I wasn't reinforced that message. I was instead reinforced the message that work quantity was important. So I defaulted to that. Now, today's environment is completely different, right? And that's what I want to bring to you. I want to give you this message right now for all of you who needs to hear this. Taking care of yourself is one of the most important choice you will ever make in your life. And we'll get into that in a little bit more. Which brings me to reason number two. Having time for you is the most common objection that I get for women. I did a survey recently from all the people that are in my community, and that was their number one reason is they don't have time to do the exercise. They don't have time to practice. They don't have time to X, Y, and Z. Well, not having the time or not taking the time. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to change the perception, or at least I will attempt to show you a new perception of how time can be seen. And maybe, just maybe, you will take that with you and actually begin the process to change your own perception on time. because it's all about that is changing perception. Before we get into the topic, I want to announce officially on the podcast the winner of the Going to Beyond the Food 2018 scholarship program, because we had that draw or that selection process, should I rather say, on Monday, June the 4th now. And I announced it live on the 5th. And the winner is, she already knows because I've communicated with her, Julie M. And the reason why Julie was selected is she was in financial need and in this time in her life for help. She's been experiencing a challenging relationship to food for 36 years, but most recently, her husband was diagnosed with a severe form of cancer, which wasn't covered by medical insurance and led her and her family into this path of financial debt to heal her husband. And unfortunately, her husband did not survive the treatment, leaving her and her 14-year-old daughter in an emotional and financial disrupt. And what really made it for me in her application was the fact that, yes, she needed financial help, but what she wanted the most was to learn a new way of being with food so she could teach her daughter, because she didn't want her daughter to fall into the same pattern as her. So Julie is going to be with us in this summer semester of the Going to Beyond the Food Academy. But another thing happened following this is reading the 100 of application we've received. It was overwhelming for me to read all your application and seeing the distress that many of you have expressed and the need for help that you've expressed to me and shared. And it was very emotional for me. And I had a huge aha moment about 2 hours into reading your application, in which I realized that I could help you. I cannot give everyone free access to the Going to Beyond the Food Academy program. However, I can share with you the 5 biggest mistakes that we're making with our relationship to food that cause us the distress that we're in, that the applicants were in, and most of you are in when faced with your relationship to food and the behavior that is destructive with regards to food and your emotional health and mental health and et cetera. So I can do that. I can share those areas and give you some quick strategy. And then you're going to have to take those strategies and go and apply them yourself. So what I decided to do is to do a free workshop, like an online virtual workshop. I'm very good at that. That's my zone is genius. So I thought, let's put a quick PowerPoint together and then we're going to do this very quickly. So today, June 7th, so if you're listening that live on June 7th, we're going to have a workshop tonight at 9 p.m. And if you're saying, oh my God, it's Friday, I missed it, that's okay. We have another one repeating on June the 9th at noon. So the link will be in the show note. So you can go to the show note right now, go to our website, stephaniedodier.com/137. The links will be there. And if it works out well, I may do that more frequently, like once a month, once every 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes when I do the workshop. And if the participant in the workshop think it's valuable, then I'll repeat it. So if you're listening at this later, know that you may be able, if you go to the website, to be able to attend one of those classes on a regular basis. So I hope to see you in one of those classes, hopefully Thursday or Saturday, or if it worked out well, in a repeat classes. So we're going to talk about time, and it's not about creating more time. So be ready for this. I'm not going to give you the magic trick that nobody knows on this planet except me on how you can create more time in your life. But instead, I am going to reframe how you relate to time so that it can help you have more time. It's like everything we do in the Beyond the Food Academy is not about putting a Band-Aid, but actually teaching you how to think differently. So you ready for this, girls? Let's do this. So let's talk about time. Let's give you perspective on my own journey. So as I said earlier, I was someone who had 30 plus years of relating to time in which I didn't have enough time. My whole life was about me being busy. And I want you to pay attention here because I know there's a lot of you out there who do the same thing. We wear the busy badge on our chest and we're very proud of it. There's people who will ask you, how you doing? And the first thing that'll come out of your mouth is, oh, I'm just so busy. Oh, there's so much on my plate. Or somebody will ask you, when can we meet? When can we talk? Oh, I don't know. My calendar is full. My agenda is full. I don't know if I have time. I don't know when I can have time. Like, it's called the busy badge. I was wearing it with honor because it brought value to me, right? But my body didn't take the same thing. And that's why my body, because I didn't take care of it, got really sick and I ended up in hospital. The thing is, my pain of not taking care of me wasn't big enough for me to actually take the time to take care of me. And I will come back a little bit on that, but it's all about your level of pain. So right now, if you're saying, I don't have the time, Stephanie, to do your program, I don't have the time to breathe, to release my emotional eating, or whatever the things I teach you, and you're saying that, know that you're only saying this because you haven't suffered enough of your problem, hair quote, whatever your problem is, to change, to have a different perspective. So if you have suffered enough and you're willing, ready to have a different perspective, here's 4 concepts that I teach within the academy that can help you now. I'm going to share them with you so you can hopefully have a different perspective on time. Number 1, life is a series of choice. Life is a series of choice. Life don't happen to you. You create your own life via your choices. You attract based on who you are. Your choices create your reality. If you make the choice of believing that you can't make time, guess what's going to happen? You will not have time. If you make the choice to believe that you can find time, you will create the time. Whatever you choose to believe, whatever you choose to bring into your life will become a reality. Your life, your current state of being, your current health status, your current weight, your current relationship to food was not dropped on you by a miracle. You created it by making choices in your life. And I know right now some of you are probably like getting their back up and saying, how can you say that? I was a victim of X, Y, Z, da-da-da-da-da-da, right? I have the same story. But I know that from that point forward, what I've decided now will create my life. So at the age where you are right now and whatever happened to you years ago, don't hold on to that and make that the deciding factor of your choice today. You have the power to put those events in your life behind and make different choices today that are going to create a different outcome. And with your relationship to time, it's exactly the same. You can believe and go around wear the busy badge of honor thinking, I don't have the time. I'm just too busy. I have kids. I have a job. I have this. I have that. While you're saying that and you're living that reality created by your choice, your perception, there's another woman out there with a job, with kids, with busyness that has the time to take care of herself. What's the difference? Choices. Moving on to concept number 2. You haven't suffered enough yet. You haven't had enough pain yet to choose to make the time. So if you're in front of one of my example program and you're saying, oh my God, Stephanie, you want me to attend, example in the academy, 2 hours of teaching and Q&A a week, plus you want me to do homework, you want me to spend 2 to 3 to 4 hours a week working on myself. Oh my God, I don't have the time for that. Well, my answer is, then your relationship to food, your desire to change how you interact with food and yourself and your own self-care isn't important enough, which means you haven't suffered enough yet. That's okay. Carry on. And when you've reached a point where your pain is big enough and your suffering is big enough, you will magically be able to make time. Crazy, right? But that's my experience. That's what I shared with you. That's what I see every day. And unfortunately, for most of us, we have to hit rock bottom. And this whole work that I'm doing here, this podcast and the other 136 podcasts, is in hope that you don't have to hit rock bottom. I hope you don't have to go where the majority of my students have to go, where I went to hit rock bottom. So you can avoid getting more pain by simply changing your perception around time. So we have in the academy a time management formula, which is basically, it's a one piece of paper that shows you all the area of your life, that asks you to think where you're spending your time, where then you want to put the priority, and then you have to, chooses to spend less time somewhere to give it to another place based on your goals and your priority. Like I said, there's no magic trick of finding more time, unfortunately. We're going to take a quick break from our chat to give a shout out to our show sponsor, Health IQ. And I am so excited to be partnering with them and bringing you forward an innovative insurance company for the American listener. Health IQ helps health-conscious people like yogis, runners, cyclists, weightlifters to get lower rate on their life insurance. Just like you save money on your car insurance for being a good driver, Health IQ saves you money on life insurance for living a health-conscious lifestyle. Isn't it time that we get rewarded for our good health choices? Now, how do you get started? Very simply by qualifying through the Health IQ quizzes. And also, listen to this, if you submit actual training data through the various apps available, you can save additional dollars. To get started now, simply go to stephaniedodier.com/health IQ and take the test to see if you qualify. And when you get to speak to an agent, mention the code Beyond the Food to support the show. So get started now on saving money on your life insurance. Now, a shout out to our other show sponsor, Muse. And I'm very grateful to team up with Muse to bring you the first tool in the world to help you learn to meditate at home. Muse is a wearable brain sensing headband that measures our brainwave and sends the feedback to an app on our personal device. I love my Muse because it transformed my meditation practice. I wear it daily for my 10-minute session in the morning, and it coaches me through my practice by giving me real-time feedback on what's happening in my brain and helping me refocus during my meditation. I love this partnership with Muse because it brings the tool to the first timer and it helps expand the practice of the more advanced meditator. So it's time for you to get your Muse on and learn to calm your mind through meditation. And here's the thing, as a listener of the Going to Beyond the Food show, you get 15% off of the purchase of your Muse. To take advantage of this offer, simply go to stephaniedodier.com/muse. And again, the URL is stephaniedodier.com/muse and register through this URL to get 15% off. So join me in my 10 minutes meditation practice every morning and get our Muse on and go beyond the food together. Okay, so we've got two concepts so far. Life is a series of choice, choice of making time or not making time. 2, pain is greater of not having time. You will not have time. So you haven't suffered enough. Concept number 2. And then concept number 3, you wear the I'm so busy badge of honor, right? So we talked about that a little bit earlier. Do you value yourself, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your pride into this world by how busy you are? So you have to be really honest with yourself right now. Do you value yourself by how busy you are? Do you show up and with your word to the world? And if you can be honest with yourself and you say, yeah, I'm wearing the busy badge in honor, in part is because you're responding to society's expectation. Pay attention over the next couple days when you ask people that you're meeting with, how you doing, and how many are responding, oh, I'm just so busy, right? Pay attention to how we use the word busy and how TV media, social media shows you to be proud of how busy you are. We are addicted in some way in our society to busyness. So it's about getting always more, right? Kids in competitive sport, and then music, and then arts, and women working outside of work, trying to climb the corporate ladder, going to the gym, maintaining relationship with their girlfriend, going to a coffee, shopping, their nails, their charity. Like the list of things is ongoing because we believe that the more we put on our list, the more worth we have. So it's kind of a unbalanced way of valuing our self-worth. We are valuing our self-worth by how busy we are instead of taking care of ourselves. So where is your self-worth and its value? Is it sitting within the busyness with external stuff? Or is it in taking care of yourself? Do you take pride in taking care of yourself and your nutrition and moving your body and stretching your body and taking care of your spiritual body and then emotional body and calming your mind? Like, where do you put your value? Where you put your value will dictate where you spend time. So if you're having problem finding time for self-care right now, have an honest look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I value in life? Concept number 4, and that's a huge one, perfectionism. Perfectionism, ladies, will kill you. We have to stop. Please, oh please stop this insane desire to have everything perfect in our life. From the way we dress, the way we do our hair, the way we eat. I see that all the time. People wanting to eat perfectly all the time. Can we accept to just be imperfect? The more you aim for perfection, the less time you'll have. And correlating perfection, most perfectionists do not value taking care of themselves because perfectionism is, again, a monitor of self-worth, and it shows up in how we look perfect to the world. When we take care of ourselves, it's not about the external recognition we're getting. It's all about our relationship with ourselves. Therefore, chances are we won't be as perfect as we used to be or as we are aiming to be. So to find more time, ladies, we need to renegotiate our relationship with perfection. So the last podcast was all about that. So if you're stumbling on this podcast and you're like, how do I do that? Go back to the last podcast. Podcast 136 was about giving you the permission to be imperfect. But perfectionism and this desire to be perfect will definitely affect the way you view time. And let me give you a bonus one last one. And it's a sum up of all the other one. You got to change your perspective. The whole concept of how you're viewing time. That's the bottom line of it. You have to be able to solve the self-care problem time, and I'm using air quote here, you have to change your perspective. There's no other way. So if you're sitting there and you're saying, it's impossible, I just don't agree with this, then it's not going to work. So you might as well end listening to this podcast right now, move on to the next one. But if you're like, okay, I have suffered enough, I am willing to change my perspective on time, then apply the 4 prior concepts and start changing those elements in your life and wear a new pair of glasses. That's how we call it in the academy, is changing the glasses we wear, the glasses and the filter through which we see time. So you have to go from I have no time to there is time to be found. Learn to say no. Learn to not aim for perfection. Make choices that are aligned with where you value your life, where you find your own self-worth. Realign where you find your own self-worth, right? This is all the stuff we teach in the Going to Beyond the Food Academy, because healing our relationship to food goes beyond the food. Right? We've all tried trying to control food and putting more rules and regulation and eating organic and eating paleo and keto, thinking that was going to be the solution to food. Food is only a symptom of a deeper internal issue. One of them being our relationship to time. So, hoping I've helped you change your perception on time and going from I have no time to there is time to be found. So if you're ready to take the next step, here's 2 things you can do. Number 1, you're ready to find time. Therefore, you're willing to do some work and exercise in healing your relationship to food. You can go download my free Crave Cure guide. Simply go to stephaniedodier.com/guide. You can do that. 2, if you need more in-depth knowledge, you need a framework, you need support, you need coaching, then you can consider joining us in the Going to Beyond the Food Academy. And again, stephaniedodier.com/academy. So there you have it, ladies. Hope this episode helped you in finding more time, ultimately in changing your perception. I'm grateful that you were here with me. And the next show, episode 138, which I'm about to record next, is going to be very different. So I'm forewarning you right now, it's going to be a very vulnerable podcast. I already have my throat tightening up right now, just in the thought of recording it. I'm going to talk about very personal stuff. I'm going to talk about things that I'm afraid to tell you. So likely not the great podcast for somebody who just came into our world. So because it has nothing to do with helping you going beyond the food, but it's about me being more transparent with you. So I'm hoping that me being more transparent will help some of you. So I love you, and I'm looking forward to see you on the next show, episode 138. Did you know that 9 out of 10 women are struggling with their relationship to food? Overeating, emotional eating, binging, and craving are real. Clearly, the solution we have been taught aren't working. I believe to have food freedom, it means that we must learn to have a relationship with our hunger so we can finally be at peace with food and eat normally without guilt or shame, which is why I wrote the Crave Cure Guide. I want to show you how to have a completely different relationship with food so that you can be in control of what you eat, achieve your goal, and be the powerful woman you were meant to be. The best part is, this book and the step-by-step process is absolutely free. To receive your free copy, simply go to stephaniedodier.com/guide and we can get started right now.